All right, let's do the Drysdale Gauthier trade now, because the sound clip, if you were to take this out of context, the sound clip of blessing in disguise, you could be like, yeah, you think so?
No.
But the way Hilferty framed it wasn't so much even, like, they like the player. They're excited about the player. They made sure to say they big fans of Jamie Drysdale, think they got good value. Also found it funny they didn't say Cutter's name in the whole situation.
Yeah, they're not the jilted exes.
Yeah.
And not even a little bit.
But Hilferty used that situation as an example of his own education in the business of the sport, and then getting to see Danny and Jonesy deal with it. And that kind of was one of the things that really gives him optimism. Because one of the first questions, like, Hilferty opens up and is like, all of you, like, talking about us, and, like, gave props to Danny and Jonesy and Torts doing their whole thing. And someone asked, like, all right, well, what did you like about them? And it was later on where he gets to, like, an actual example. This situation that unfolded makes me think they're good at this. Like, that's what I took away from the Drysdale portion of this press conference.
It was an interesting framing of it, to be sure. And it's a framing that I don't think you have to necessarily agree with, which is why it's interesting, because the thing is like, Hilferty basically, as you said, positioned it as, I now know that these guys can deal with a tough situation and handle it well. But the jury is still out on whether they handled it well. Now, I think the Flyers handled it extremely well from a PR standpoint. I think they, in terms of public relations, in terms of having the fans not blame them but blame Cutter, I think they were exceptional at presenting their preferred message and getting the fan base, who this time last year would have laughed at that kind of framing and been like, no, you guys are just incompetent. You screwed this up, and we hate all of you. Comcast, sell the team. Instead, the fans bought that this really wasn't the Flyers' fault and that the Flyers made the best of a tough situation, and they turned most of their ire on Cutter, if not all of their ire on Cutter. However, I think it's reasonable to not buy into the fact that the Flyers, that Jones and Danny and Torts, that they didn't actually do a great job in extracting value for Cutter, because there was an assumption in Hilferty's answer that they did a good job getting Jamie Drysdale. Now, I am not at all ready to give up on Jamie Drysdale, but it is very possible that in 3 years, when Cutter Gauthier is scoring 40 goals a year on Anaheim, and Jamie Drysdale is averaging 30 games a season and not doing well in the games he plays, that you're like, holy crap, they got absolutely killed in that trade. And I think the PR, undeniably, they did a great job. The execution of the trade, I'm not ready to say that they definitely did a great job on that.
There's no way to know that. I will say the one part of it, though, the ability to keep it under wraps, was very, very important.
Agreed.
And that showed some,
the execution,
some real skill in that department.
I would agree with that.
And it answered a question. We've said this before. Answered a question from the offseason. Hey, man, how'd you let that Sanheim trade leak? And we have later found out that the leak was from St. Louis. No shit. The guy in St. Louis is the one who said, I ain't getting traded. But, like, we don't know. It's a brand new regime. We have no idea how they handle shit. And, well, oh, man, well, they had this huge blockbuster sorted out, and then all of a sudden, no, not happening. We're covering 50% of Kevin Hayes, and we got, like, I don't know, a 12th round pick or something. Like, we didn't know. And then this goes to show, no, actually, they're good at that part. And if you've listened to 32 Thoughts over the last couple months, it's not Lamoriello level, but Elliot Friedman's like, ain't nothing coming out of the Flyers. I can't get shit. Mm-hmm. And I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks for you. But as a fan, like pure fan, I'm like, good. I don't want anyone to know anything. I want them to know what their plan is and no one else.
Yeah. No, and when I poke around more like on the league source side, it's the same thing. I get like, we hear some things about like, they're confident about Mitchell, but like, beyond that, it's like, not really a lot of scuttlebutt out there the same way like everyone is gossiping about like Ottawa.
Yes.
Like
someone in Ottawa's getting traded. Yeah. Like that is a certainty. I don't know if it's Shane Pinto, Brady Tkachuk, Jacob Chikrin. I don't know who. Someone in Ottawa is getting traded. That's without a doubt.
I just think that in this scenario, I think undeniably you can look at how they handled the Gauthier situation. And you could say they did a really good job of keeping under wraps, of leveraging Jonesy's personal relationships to have it so no one betrayed them in negotiations, that they did a good job with PR and handling the fans, which they, 2-3 years ago, they were freaking terrible at. They've gotten a lot better. But I don't think you can yet say that the front office pro scouting department or the amateur scouting department, if they were looking at prospects, that they definitely executed on this trade as well as they could possibly have executed, because we know that there are other players offered. Like one name that has come up is Marco Rossi. If Marco Rossi in 4 years is a legit 1C and Drysdale is just a dude, then you're going to be like, well, shit, maybe the pro scouting department needs to get an overhaul because they really blew this one. I'm not saying they definitely did. I'm just saying that Hilferty's answer assumed it was a great trade, or at least the best they could have done, and I'm not ready to say that yet.
Yeah. No, and it's just something we can't know yet. The player evaluation part of it is the most important part, and it's just something we can't know yet.
Right. We all silly like the mayor.